I want to just respond really quickly here. And some of this is, I guess, kind of dumb. I mean, I don't find the person's comments that insightful. I'm not going to block the person. He wants to watch my videos. I have no idea why. He just wants to leave these little comments that, from my perspective, they don't really make much sense. But to anybody who's reading them, I want to get at this issue because I think the actual issue that he raises, to which I deeply believe he's wrong, I want to maybe convey this to other people. And I think for young scholars, this is such an important and hot issue to get into. Okay, so first, here's the comment, and this is on my most recent video regarding understanding agency. He writes, hard determinism doesn't equal no agency. It simply equals no free agency. We, indeed, make decisions based on language, calendar, schedules, etc. Hard determinism simply states that those things had to come about and those decisions had to come about in a specific way dictated by causes that stem back before a person with decision-making capabilities ever existed. Agency is part of hard determinism, given all events have a cause. Now, part of me wants to go, duh, I don't think anyone was, in my video, had the person watched it at all, I suggested that there was no agency in the inorganic realm which predated and then preceded and gave way to organic capacities. Here's the issue, though, where I think you can really get at it. And I would encourage anyone who is interested in problems of evolutionary biology. See, those people who are in evolutionary biology and who do philosophy of mind, evolution of language, evolution of consciousness, you're really well posed to both see the weakness here and help try to address this problem, because this is a problem that is pervasive throughout a lot of different fields, a lot of different areas. So I think it's being distilled nicely in this comment. So here's what Chirk says. And then he puts his little comment. He says, so yes, we can talk about agency in the way people come to a decision, and this video is fine for that. But when you talked about a probability field, that is where you missed the mark completely. This is what he says. And here's the killer claim. Probability is epistemic, not ontological. There is no real field, just our ignorance of all the variables in a deterministic universe. And there it is, people. You see it so clearly just laid out. Here's a person who doesn't understand, right? He just doesn't understand that from an evolutionary biology perspective, epistemology is an ontological problem. See, I've tried to address this in so many of my videos. Memory is not simply epistemic. Now, it is epistemic to the degree that it allows access to varying degrees of various facts that occurred in the past. But memory is an ontological issue regarding the way nature evolved capacities for such delimitated relations to its own past. See, he's not understanding the degree to which you can't say that something is epistemic rather than ontological. No, it's not going to work that way from an evolutionary biology perspective. See, this is part of the problem that Bateson got into when Bateson was haggling over whether or not he committed a violation of Russell's theory of logical types when he gave his theory of play and fantasy. And when he says anytime you delimit a set, you're going to have to delimit the proper set from the improper, the set from the non-set, and then the set from the improper non-set. It's that outer line, and I've shot so many videos on this on Bateson. It's that outer line that the logician will tell you you can't draw, but the evolutionary psychologist will tell you you have to draw. And it's just such a good example of when some person tries to reduce a deep ontological problem. And there is an ontological problem here. The ontological problem is, how did nature evolve within itself elongated stretches of time that in their elongation give the the capacity to see different options, to entertain them, to dwell within the capacity to go either way, and then to act upon that. People who really want to understand this, I would encourage people to go look at Andy Clark's work, and particularly the chapter called Material Symbols from his book Supersizing the Mind, he really well lays out how, of course, a symbol is material, but its very materiality allows for increasing degrees of abstract manipulation and guiding of thought that couldn't do what it does without it. Now, if you try to reduce that to being epistemological, you've already assumed that epistemology is there, right? Now, you can try to say that, but then the question becomes, how is that ontologically possible for there to be epistemologies? Because I think we're going to grant that there were no epistemologies in the inorganic realm, right? Okay, so then to the extent that there is an inorganic realm, that is, there is an inorganic realm for which there were no knowing beings, but we now know about that, that means that epistemology is a subset of ontology. De facto, the fact of the emergence of memory and imagination. See, now here's where the slip-up comes up. He says, and I quotes, probability is epistemic, not ontological. There is no real field, just our ignorance of all the variables in a deterministic universe. Okay, there are no variables in a deterministic universe. That's an epistemological framing of it. The issue is that there is an ontological fact called an elongated stretch of a human imagination which is deliberating over possibilities and probabilities. That is the field. And it doesn't have to represent an actual occurrence that one day, like it doesn't lose its reference capacity should what it's reaching out toward never occur. In fact, that's part of what we mean by a possibility. See, it's different than the kind of ontological status of an item in memory. Memory and the kind of pasts that memory make possible. It's more than epistemic. It has to do with an ontological evolution within nature. The same could be said of the future and its possibilities, although they have a different ontological status. There is an ontological status there. It's just the status as a possibility. Okay, very good, people. I hope that people really think about that question. I would encourage everyone, go look at that comment and really try to, I would love to see people address that. To what extent are symbols, memory, and imagination not simply epistemic problems of an organism trying to represent the world? To what extent are they ontological issues of nature itself, evolving capacities, and humans simply happen to be the site where it's going on? All right, thank you.